Oh my god, it's actually happening. You are actually listening to Uber Cinco. This is the particular moment of the absurd phenomenon of the human consciousness you are actually experiencing. Guten Nacht and bienvenido a mi, our beloved listeners, and welcome to Uber Cinco, the podcast game show where we deep dive top fives. Today's episode will be a little nostalgic, a little wistful, and a little introspective. Today, our contestants will reveal and defend their top 5 life lessons you begrudgingly learned from your parents. That's right, we're going to ask, what were those moments where you slammed your bedroom door in mom and dad's face after arguing about whether spending $90 on light-up sneakers was more fiscally responsible than investing in a college fund? And 20 years later, you realize that maybe that pair of LA Gears didn't bring you the admiration of your peers you so desperately sought. And in the den today, we have, oh my lord, it can't be, but it is, appearing for the very first time on Uber Cinco, the one and only Atra Asdu. Atra has been a full-time friend and sometimes collaborator with UBK Studios for many years now. She is a writer, an actor, a comedian and improviser, and Belarus's top competitive extreme downhill ornithologist 7 years running. She's currently the head writer and creative producer of Second City's black and white news, The Plan, the last show of which you can catch Thursday, March 4th at 7 p.m. Central Time at secondcity.com. Follow her at Atra Asdu on Instagram and Twitter. Atra, thank you so much for being here. How on earth are you?
As they would say in my ornithology, which I quickly Googled just to confirm I knew what it was. Happy to be here. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Is there anything you can tell our listeners about this show you're doing right now?
Yeah, so Black and White News it's called Black and White News, The Plan, and it's an all BIPOC run show that we're putting up through Second City online, and it is a comedic news debate show where we debate very real topics with very real people, but we do it comedically.
So very much the opposite of this show in every way.
Pretty much. But if you love this show, you're going to love our show too, because both are good.
All right, wonderful. And facing off against Atra is the grand old master of the top 5 genre, the wise old owl of the arbitrary list, the main entity, Brian Ulysses Ernst. Brian, good day to you, sir. How you doing?
I am an owl for you all. Thank you. So glad to be out of the barn, stretch the old wings, and come up with a victory today. Let's do it.
I did not realize I had put 2 bird references in my intro until just now. Too late.
We yes-anded you real hard there, pal.
Yeah, it's okay. It's being recorded in February. I tried really hard. I tried that one. I said it in my head and it came out different.
All right, also with us is the effervescent and ginger Mitch Brinkman, who will be judiciously scoring each round today. Mitch, you are constantly spouting sage wisdom at friends, family, Uber drivers, and vagrants under the overpass, so you are uniquely positioned to judge today's game. What will you be looking for in our contestants' lists?
I'll be looking for, one, are they leaving change behind around the house? Because whatever's loose, it's mine now. Also, waking up early with the crack of dawn doesn't always work if you're a night owl like Brian. So that's terrible parental wisdom. But again, just like my shirt Jack Darrell would say, buy local. So now I'm going to plug once again my favorite local liquor store from Minnesota. Mike's Liquor is an unofficial sponsor of today's episode.
And
Shirt
I
Jack
believe
Darrell loves their selection of crispy boys and IPAs for a great vacation cooler stocking. So there we go.
I believe they also sell the preferred liquor of this podcast, jug liquor, which we've talked about multiple times. All right. I'll also mention that as host of the game today, I'm entitled to institute a house rule, which today is very simple. If either contestant provides an answer that hits particularly close to home for me, I'll be awarding an extra bonus point to their score. Does that sound okay, Mitch?
Absolutely, yeah. And I want to say, too, Shirt Jack Darrell, if there's any advice that they give out that sounds like my dad, you're getting half a bonus point from me. So this is the first episode, too, that's going to have half points. So that's really fun and exciting. Let's go. 0.5s. Woo!
Good Lord.
All right, and if this is your first foray into the den, or if you need a friendly reminder, let's wake you out of hibernation with a quick rundown of the rules. Each player in the den has spent time with today's topic, arranging their top 5 answers in order of importance. Those answers have been submitted to the host, who will moderate the game, awarding points to the player with the most poignant answer.
Starting with their number 5 choice, we will move up the ranks until we reach each of their top answers. But if both contestants happen to have the same answer on their list, we have an Uber stare-down.
You will hear the official Uber Cinco siren, and both players must reveal their answer and what number they ranked their submission. An Uber stare-down is all or nothing, with one player earning 3 points. After all answers have been read, the host will reveal the final score.
Before we get started, remember that you, yes you, can submit a topic for us to debate on a future episode of Uber Cinco. Just head on over to bizbear.biz and make your submission. And don't forget to stick around to the end for my Fast 5, where I will rattle off my top 5 ways your ex says hey. Okay, I've been introducing this show since the Clinton administration. Time to get fucking rolling. Atra, you won the pre-show Tom Jones karaoke contest, so you get to go first. Let's hear your number 5.
It's not unusual. It's not unusual that I often do that. My first one in my top 5, you said?
Your number 5.
My number 5. Okay, my number 5. Sorry if you hear banging. There is a baby that lives upstairs, and he loves to hammer. My number 5 is on cars, general car maintenance, and how to find parking and subsequently get out of parking tickets. May I explain?
That is why we're here.
Great. So I begged my parents to live on campus when I went to college, because they were all about, like, you gotta go to college, you gotta go to college, you gotta go to college. And then I'd be like, cool, the world is my oyster. And they were like, you gotta go someplace that's like within driving distance, because we're not gonna let you stay at school.
No.
A, it's too expensive, and B, you're not married. A lot of these have to do with like culturally. I was talking to Nathan about this list of some of these was like me begrudging my parents. So this is one of mutual begrudgment. My general car maintenance, like I had hand-me-down cars and I saw them all to death. No matter how much I would try to maintain them, nobody taught me how. It would only be like too late that the lessons would come in. The engine has seized and, don't you know how to change the oil? It's like, no, nobody told me I had to do that. Like, and I didn't have in high school all the like auto shop classes were like for dudes, and then all the home ec classes were, it was pretty gendered education wise in terms of like shop and home ec.
Brian or Mitch, did you guys have, because I went to a school of literally 100 students, so we barely had math class, but did you guys have any of those classes?
We did. We had an auto shop. We had wood shop. It was a big public school. We had it all. I didn't take any of them.
At the St. Thomas Academy, it was really an institution that prepared young men to be men of letters. No, the closest thing we got to was religious themes and art, where I did put together my own cross with my own hands. I will nail myself to it one day, probably.
Did it have wheels? You could put some wheels on it. Pretty much a car.
You know what? That would be incredibly sacrilegious, because if it fell down Calvary Hill, you're not catching that. That was a steep hill, if I remember from the Bible. Dangerous to put wheels on your cross.
Pit my cross.
But I guess if you wanted to take Jesus on tour, that would be more easy to schlep him around.
So, Atra, what were some of the drawbacks to you not having your education about auto maintenance, which you so desperately desired?
Just ruining an O2 Cougar, ruining 01 Buick Regal, and
you got a new car every year?
Chevy Astro. No, these were all old cars that I was blamed. Like, I was car hospice, and then I was blamed for the deaths. I didn't have I had AAA and State Farm, but I never pulled out liability insurance, like familial liability insurance. So yeah, so those were the cars I destroyed just through, I had to learn on them. They were learner cars, but I was also blamed for not knowing the lessons ahead of time. So
was your hospice care, was it high grade? Like you got them the right medications, you were
No.
massaging them, like balanced
No.
diets, or is this fuck it, cigarettes, whiskey, take it all, whatever you want?
Let's have a good time. You're about to
Okay,
go.
that's good. That's my favorite.
This was me when my spark plugs misfired in my Cougar. This was me patting my wheel going, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. That was the only way I knew how to remedy it. Now I know how to I don't change the oil, but I know when the oil needs to be changed. I know how to, measure it out and maintain it. I know the fluids. I know how to change a tire. That came out of lessons that I begrudgingly had to teach myself. but yeah. Yeah, and I mentioned the commuting to college. That subsequently taught me how to find parking spots and get out of parking tickets.
Please
Because
enlighten us,
I was
because
forced
that
to
is
drive.
still something I need to learn.
Always contest, even if you are wrong. Even if you fucking parked on top of a fire hydrant, contest. Go down in a blaze of glory. Take pictures, that argument. And more times than not, they'll be like, what the fuck is she? Another letter, just fucking. I once had 3 tickets stuffed in my trunk during one of those 08 blizzards. After the snow had thawed, I had brushed it off of my car. I was in class all day and I got back out to grab my car to go home and brush the snow off and wanted to throw my backpack in the trunk, and I lifted my trunk up and 3 tickets fell in. They were stuffed in the crack of my trunk, y'all. You ever have this? You ever have a ticket stuffed in the crack of your trunk? So sexual. So
Nothing to do with parking.
violations stuffed in that's bad. So I learned how to get out of tickets, and a lot of them were bullshit tickets, but some of them weren't, and I knew they weren't, and I still contested them and still got out of them.
Is this in the city of Chicago, or is this in a different municipality?
No, it was city of Chicago. It was Loyola area, Rogers Park.
Oh,
Rogers
you're a Rambler.
Park. I'm a Rambler. A problematic mascot early on, but then they turned it into a wolf instead of just, but kept the name. So they're still the Ramblers, but it's a wolf mascot.
What was a Rambler before the wolf?
It used to be and I don't know if it used to be a Rambler, a rambling man, a homeless person, or a hobo.
Oh.
Yeah. With a bindle and yeah.
Hold on. Okay. There's a pizza chain called, what is it? Is it Hobo Jim's? What is it? No, it's a great Beggar's Pizza.
Yeah.
Great pizza. I think they stole the mascot from Loyola, maybe. I think that's probably, they were
It's-
trying to do some
mashup,
some
some
synergy. Yeah.
Synergy.
I really wish they'd kept the mascot image for the pizza that they have now, but called themselves the Wolves Pizza, and it's just a rambling man.
Also, for everyone out there bindling, don't put pizza in your bindle. It doesn't work unless you have it really well wrapped. It's gonna get saucy. It's not gonna work out well. Yeah. Sorry, I digress.
I blot my pizza, so I would put it cheese
You're a
side on
blotter?
hanky. I'm a blotter. I don't like my face to get greasy. I'm a blotter. I don't like it upsets me to see shiny lips on people who are eating pizza. Namely myself as well, to feel it, but I don't like shiny lips. It's on after eating pizza. It's just weird.
So you don't support a wonderful lip gloss company, Glossier, because that's my #1 product for lip care, personally.
You trying to get a plug? You trying to get sponsored? What? You trying to be an influencer? I do support them unless they make their glosses out of cheese grease. Then I don't. Then it's a no from me.
Wow, learning so much today.
All right, so Atra, thank you for, and first of all, enlightening me. I on average get 14 tickets a year, so I'm now going to be fighting with much more vim and vigor than I used to. So
you got 7 to 14
that.
days after it's issued.
She knows her stuff. All right, Brian, we need your riposte. We need your number 5 to go against Atra's number 5. What is your number 5 begrudgingly learned lesson from your parents?
Mine is quick because this is just proving how much of an idiot kid I was. So my number 5 is that when I grew up, I finally learned that their music was better than mine. So I remember having this vivid conversation with my mom in the car where I actually tried making the argument that Simple Plan deserved a place in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame next to Pink Floyd. And I was so wrong.
This begs the question, what was the case? Lay out your arguments. I have to hear this.
Thank you.
I remember another story. I printed out the lyrics to Avril Lavigne's Skater Boy. handed them to my father and like, look at the story she tells.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what he finally put Bruce Springsteen on. There's a real story, you idiot. But like, she said, see you later, boy. They're not together anymore. Listen to it.
that does blow the working class struggling to pay their bills and eventually being homeless and trying to build themselves up from their bootstraps in New Jersey in the 70s. Yeah, I see where you're coming from, because he eventually was, and I believe I'm quoting this directly, slamming on his guitar.
Yeah, so as I got older, my mom would only listen to Pink Floyd. My dad would pretty much only listen to Bruce Springsteen. And then that led to listening to the Stones, listening to Zeppelin, listening to other stuff, and finally listening to other music that was not 2000s pop.
It was punk. I want to correct. It was punk.
Some of it, there was a lot. I had a Britney Spears poster.
You
Really
did?
concerned my dad for a while. He didn't know it was for other reasons.
I was gonna say, you're not listening to the poster.
He knew.
But
Okay, now,
go ahead.
Brian, I'm gonna guess your favorite Simple Plan album was Still Not Getting Any. Is that true?
I believe, was that their debut album? I don't even remember.
2004 album.
If that has I'm Just a Kid on it, then that's definitely the one that I like.
This one has Shut Up, Welcome to My Life, Perfect World, Thank You, Me Against the World. This sounded like Brian's sixth grade experience.
No.
Here. Crazy.
It was
Jump every time.
the previous album. No pads, no
Oh, it was-
helmets, just balls. That was the album.
That was not
defending.
real.
No, that was the album I was defending against Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh Lord.
This is, do not be a sixth grade little asshole like us. Just don't do it.
All right, I want to go around real quick. I'll start. My first concert that my dad took me to, 1996, Burlington Steamboat days, the Doobie Brothers. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Brian, what was yours?
My first concert could have been Cher, because my dad was taking my sister, and I said no because I didn't want that to be my first concert, and it was later Bruce Springsteen.
Okay.
How
Well,
dare
the boss.
you? How share you?
I know.
Atra, how about you? First concert memory?
So my first concert memory is wanting to go to concerts and my dad being like, oh, we'll just go to the Leaning Tower of Niles and watch a geriatric orchestra play. This is nice. And then eventually it was Good Charlotte at the Aragon Ballroom.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, their opening act was, I believe, Simple Plan that night.
It was Newfound Glory.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was the Leaning Tower of Niles? Is that what you said?
Yes, so Pisa is a sister city of Niles, Illinois, and I didn't know that until I got my car sticker to tie it back into one. Lessons I've learned. But we just had this random miniature leaning tower in Niles. It's located on Toohey Avenue, just east of Caldwell, and yeah, so in honor and in tribute to the sister city, I guess they have a leaning tower.
Good Lord.
Why go to Europe? You could go to Niles.
I'll be heading out to Niles tomorrow morning with my Polaroid camera ready to go.
You will find no one else there.
I'll say after that great day trip, you just pop over to King Spa as well. Get your sweat on. I know it's
Yes.
dangerous in these times, potentially.
They are
but
still open.
They are.
Yeah.
Still-
They opened like
still rolling
March
people
13th last year.
Wow.
Yeah, they opened pretty quick.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so another King Spa veteran. It sounds like over there, maybe.
I've done it once and I didn't like it because it was too much for me. It was like
Yes. Yeah.
the rooms were very hot and I love heat. I'm a little lizard baby who loves a warming rock, but I just it was very like overstimulating. I like to be in and out. I don't have time to relax. It's on me. It's a beautiful place. Delicious. What is it called? Food
Korean
cafeteria.
food.
Yeah. I was gonna say courtyard. But I wanted to say cafeteria. Food court. I like
Courtyard
mixed
food.
4 different courtyard food. You go and you just lift up cobblestones and find a little find some deliciousness under them.
There's something disconcerting being in a sauna as you look over and watch eggs bake at the same time next to you in the same
Yeah.
area. But yeah. I digress one more time. I'm sorry. Keep it rolling.
Mitch, it's on you now. You must score this round. It is your moment.
Do I not to get to share my first alone concert experience?
Oh, I'm so
Yes,
sorry.
yes,
Year
yes.
of high
I
school?
want to hear it.
When my buddies John Busey and Ryan Fortune, we went to the Linkin Park concert, and we went because Ryan's girlfriend said she had 2 friends that needed dates. So we're like, let's go to Linkin Park. I didn't listen to them yet, and I didn't listen to them after. Turned out both girl had boyfriends, and it was a very boring show. And we spent the night in a hotel next to the XL Energy Center in downtown St. Paul, and Busey and I threw phone books off the balcony. It was very fun. But it was so rock and roll. I was just imagining like Keith and Mick would do this. Fucking Stevie Nicks would dusted this with cocaine before she hit a taxi down below. So yeah, that was my.
Actually, that is pretty. That's more rock and roll than anything I ever did. And I was in a rock and roll band in high school, and that is more rock and roll than anything I ever did.
I lament not learning an instrument because I think I would have been a pretty good high school rock and roll band member. So
You were born for it, yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's
All right,
on
Mitch,
the
give us-
tambourine. You would rock a fucking tambourine.
I don't play drums, I play percussion.
All right, Mitch, lay some numbers on us. What do you got for me?
Sure. Brian, I feel obviously the music your parents listen to is classic music. People are like, these are American standards. And I would have liked if you had enjoyed just, I don't know, a Simple Plan is just so bad that I can't give you 3 points. And I feel like you should have realized that right away. And maybe if your parents are playing the music in the house, I'm being harsh here. I'm only going to give you 1 point because as a kid, I could tell Paul Simon was pretty groovy. Stevie Wonder, pretty darn good. I don't know. So I'm sorry to poo-poo
Not
it,
all
like
of
you
us
on this one,
mature
but-
at the same age, all right, Mitch? Some of us are
That's
late
very
bloomers,
true.
all right?
And I can't forget that we are mortal enemies on this podcast. So
You're
1
right.
point for you. Atra, I wanted to hear a quick aside about how you check your oil, how if the dipstick is working right. I didn't hear that, but I'm still going to give you 3 points because I want to bury Brian, really.
I'm also going to add a host point onto Atra's score for using the phrase hand-me-down car, because the car I currently drive, I bought from my father for $1. So
Yeah.
I still drive a hand-me-down car. So in solidarity, you get the bonus point from me, Atra.
Thank you. Hitting home in the hand-me-down car.
All right, Atra, let us hear your number 4, please.
Okay, my number 4 is, this is actually, I'm changing one out because you inspired me in, am I allowed to do that? Is that cool? Because you inspired
The
me. in your
rules here
intro.
are quite lax. You can
Okay,
do
cool.
literally anything.
Cool. You inspired me in your intro about like wanting the brand name shoes. That was very much, that hit my home. So 1 point to you, but a lesson of you can't always get what you want, to quote Avril Lavigne. So we were at a Joanne Fabrics. Or no, sorry, it was a Hancock.
Brian, I think you need to ring the bell.
Oh, do I?
What is that? Oh yeah. Oh god.
That's right. We have an Uber stare down. Due to Atra calling an audible, this matches up with one of Brian's, so they're gonna go head to head. Brian, in your words, I believe it is your number 3 was.
You want it, you buy it.
All right, I think that's gonna cover the same territory. So this will be an Uber stare down.
Okay.
Atra, I apologize for the interruption. Back
No,
to
all
you.
good.
Take it away.
Thank you. So I was really praying that wasn't over Joanne Fabrics because I misspoke. I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to lie in the story.
Fabric stories off of this list.
It was at Hancock Fabrics, and the whole family was taking a trip, and there's 6 of us. And I think my mom just needed one thing of fabric. And my dad's driving the Ford Aerostar, like this busted up Ford Aerostar. We're all piled in, and we're on our way back to the city because we haven't moved out to Niles just yet. But we're on our way back to the city, and I wanted t-shirt puff paint. I wanted it so bad. And I put it in the cart, and like last minute, my parents were like, no. And I was like, but it's puff paint. It's like a little $2, like little, tiny little bottle of puff paint, this like neon green and cream colored puff paint. They said no. And then I was like, but why? Everybody else got something. Like every one of my other siblings got like a little thing. And my parents were just like, had it. So they did not let me have the puff paint. And we got in the car and I was a little bitch. In the back seat, in the furthest row back. And I had this little ring that I'd had since I was like a kid. And it's just like the smallest little like gold plated ring with a little, but it has like an actual like diamond in there, like a baby diamond, because I'm Middle Eastern and that's what they do for babies is they give them jewelry. So I had this little ring and I bit the diamond out of its setting and I spat it out. And this was to show my parents. Wow. So my dad's driving down Milwaukee Avenue. And I just show my mom my finger with the ring out. She's like, what did you do? I was like, I bit the diamond out because you wouldn't buy me puff paint. And my dad heard, and when they don't want us to know what they're saying, they speak in Arabic. So my dad was like, that's it. And he like pulled over and we're next to this graveyard.
Oh my God.
Mary Hill Cemetery. And he was like, get out. My mom was like speaking in Arabic that was essentially saying, leave her alone, don't do this. And he was speaking in Arabic back to her. No, she needs to learn. And then I started crying. I'm sorry. So that's how I learned. Don't ask
how to
for
reset
things.
diamonds.
How to reset diamonds.
The image of you as a child spitting a diamond out just like with great distinct. That is the most badass image we've ever had on this show, I think. Wow, you couldn't make that up.
I had a temperament issue, I think. I learned to grow out of it. And that's the greatest lesson of all.
I mean, I would say biting the like world's hardest substance out with your own teeth makes you pretty strong. Yeah, maybe a little.
It was like set in a tiny little like lace gold plated like flower setting. Mm-hmm. So like all I had to do was like bite the flower setting and it came off. So it wasn't I didn't crush a diamond with my incisors. It was.
All right, now it's infinitely less cool.
But yeah, we never found the diamond.
Oh no!
It was the tiniest little speck. It's still a diamond, but like for a family who isn't making a lot of money, that shit is not okay to just. Throw into the carpet of a stanky ass Ford Aerostar, but
oh dear Lord,
wow.
yeah.
Oh man,
get me my puff paint.
Did you ever? Was there anything your parents ever did splurge on that you now looking back were like super grateful for that was unexpected?
I'm grateful for everything that they've bought me and not bought me because lessons, but I begged for Adidas shoes, the basketball shoes, back in 6th grade when it was like cool. The second time around? No, but we shopped out at Aldi, at Venture, at Kmart. We didn't do name brand stores at Value City. So my mom was like, no, I'll take you to Payless and we can get some stripy shoes. I was like, no, it has to be Adidas. So eventually she took me to Foot Locker in the mall at Golf Mill Mall, and they didn't have my size in women's shoes because I'm a big footed bitch. And so I got like the men's section, which those sizes are all stupid anyway, but yeah, so I got, meaning like splitting up between men and women, or like gendering sizes.
Yeah, why aren't they the
Is a
same?
stupid
Whatever.
thing.
Makes no sense.
Yeah And also being
feet or
the
feet?
men's are two sizes smaller than the women. Like the conversion thing is just stupid.
Yeah.
It's just
like
stupid.
babies are 0. You start at 0, you go up from there. That makes sense. Because I would love to wear, because a men's 10 might be like 16 if it was all on one scale, right? I think that would be cool to feel larger. Sorry, keep going.
Well, Atra, you are even luckier than you realize due to this shoe buying story, because as listeners of this show and friends of mine will know, Michael Jordan was my personal hero on every level since I was a kid. And there was a birthday when my parents, my mother in particular, said, if you want a new pair of Jordans, we will get you that pair of Jordans. And that birthday was my 34th. So
And And you took that personally.
Well, I know I was super excited. I still haven't taken him up on it. That's a different story. But I'm definitely still gonna have my mom buy me a pair of Jordans. But at this point, I turned 35 this year.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan played his last game for the Bulls at 35. So I'm going to get my first pair of Jordans from my parents when I'm older than Michael Jordan ever was as a Bulls player. So getting that pair of stripy shoes that you so desired before you were able to rent a car legally, you're luckier than...
Thank you for that perspective. I am grateful for everything they bought and didn't buy. And do you feel like, can I ask you, do you feel like your parents doing that is, I don't know of what age your parents are, but I assume if they're anything like mine, they've retired or are on their way to retirement and have all the time in the world to reflect on all of their regrets. And so that was maybe something that crossed their mind of like, we never got Nathan a pair of basketball shoes. We need to do this for us.
Perhaps, and now I feel like I need to refuse the offer. I can't in good faith accept it. I want them to go have a nice dinner at
they can.
There's no restaurants where I grew up, so
A nice dinner at the kitchen on the couch. Yeah.
All right, Brian, this is the Uber stare down. You've got to go head to head here with Atra directly. Let's hear your counter.
Cool. I'll speed through this a little bit because it kind of covers the same ground. It was the same lesson of finally being grateful for everything that bought or didn't bought over time. But again, this is just another example of me being a little asshole. I remember complaining like other kids I knew had an allowance and I didn't get it. Yet anytime I asked for, I want to go to the movies, my friends, can I have $20? They never said no. So it was like, no, I didn't have an allowance, but I always got that and was just too much of a little shit to realize. Same thing with school trips. If you wanted to go to DC for 8th grade or whatever, it was like, no problem, you're doing that. And then as I got older, it came to, you're not getting your license until you pay for insurance. If you're going to get the hand-me-down car, you're paying the bill. So that took a while. So I drove to high school my last week of senior year. That was the only time I drove in high school. I was like, boom, I got it. I got it out of my system. Took the old Ford Windstar minivan to school and home and did it. Cool. I drove in high school. I can say that now. So yeah, same lesson in the grand scheme of things.
All right, I'm going to tell you right now that Brian is going to get, whether he wins the stare down, he's going to get a bonus point from me from reminding me of a car and shoe story from my high school years. I lived in a tiny little town. I lived 1.5 blocks away from my high school. Couldn't get out of bed in time to walk to school. Had to drive every single day. And I had my basketball shoes. And no less than 4 times did I go to unlock my 94 Honda Accord, set my shoes on the roof.
Oh, no.
Forget they were there. Get in the car, drive to school, get out of the car, and see my shoes still sitting on top of the car. Not once did they fall off in my drive to school. So for reminding me of that little anecdote, Brian's going to get the host bonus point, but it's going to be up to Mitch to decide who gets the 3 points from the stare down.
Quick follow-up before Mitch scores there. I had this exact same story come up yesterday. When I finally got the title to the Ford Windstar, I had to change the license plates myself. And I changed them in my work parking lot, but I left the old plates on the back bumper. So when I drove home, I left 2 plates in the middle of the street in Brookfield, Illinois. And the cops called my mom to say, is your car missing plates? So I know the feeling, Nathan.
Wow, this is a tough one to score because I rode it in that Windstar. I have a lot of good memories from that Windstar.
You drove that Windstar a couple times.
I drove that Windstar a couple times. That's very true. That Windstar got us through that production that brought us all together.
It's true.
If you remember all the way back. So
5-star safety rating. Just throwing that out there.
5-star safety rating. So I think in the interest of tightening this game back up a little bit, and also Brian, oh man. Also, Atra, as a baby, you really, I don't know if I believe you bit a diamond, crushed it in your teeth, and then your poop glittered for the next 2 weeks. Isn't that what you said?
Word for word, yes.
It was, okay. All right. I just don't know if I believe that. You know,
wow, you are such a good listener.
It's hard to listen when you're watching yourself on the feed, Atra. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, Brian's gonna win this stare down. I liked his succinctness, but Atra, I'm giving you 2 half bonus points. You said something early
So
on
one
that
point.
I can't. So 1 point. Yes, exactly. Quick math. This podcast is also about quick math, and that's why we love having you as a guest. I don't remember what the first half bonus point was about, but the second one, my dad had a very similar story. Growing up on a farm, he wanted the triple stripes. They didn't know they were called Adidas, I guess, in rural Minnesota in the mid-'70s. And his mom got him Adidas, and he unboxed them, and they only had 2 stripes, and he was very sad. And so he had to get himself the 3rd stripe one day when he had enough money. So
You just get the Sharpie at that
for
point.
that.
Thank you.
We could only afford 2 stripes down on the farm.
You want your 3rd stripe, you're going to have to earn it.
And then
I don't know
Brian,
why
you're getting-
Bane lives on the farm.
I was born in Brownfield.
Okay,
It's
that's bad.
pronounced.
You're getting the stare down and then an extra bonus point as well. So that is. Yep. Okay. 4 points for that round. There we go. Okay, let's move on to the number 3s.
I think we still have to do Brian's 4.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Brian's 4. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You're right. You're right.
Cool. I will
Let's hear it,
burn
Brian.
through my 4 here. This is a quote from my parents. It's not that I don't trust you. Everyone else is an asshole. So this is the classic excuse for not going out on New Year's Eve, not going out for Super Bowl, not just driving, going to the concert by yourself or doing this. It's just everyone else sucks. It's not that I don't trust you. And every year I get older, does this become more true? I hate everyone on the road. I hate everyone around me. I'm going to be this exact same parent when I have children. It's just no, everyone else is terrible. And especially if you drive an Audi, I hate you. You are the worst driver out there. Audis think they're so cool, and they're not that cool. They're pretty cool, but if you got an Audi, you are out there speeding and going through the traffic, whether it's an SUV or a sedan. You think you own that road. And I don't care how many rings are on the back of that car. No. So that's just me. I do not trust everyone else out there. And that is a lesson that has been learned more over time, especially every time I've been cut off.
This is, again, I'm going to be giving a bonus point here because this is a direct quote from my dad that he said all the time to me, particularly in driving situations, but also generally. His quote was, "Watch out for the other guy." That was one of his mantras that he passed on. And I do think that it is legitimate wisdom, is that, especially living in the city now, you're out late at night, which I may or may not have been once or twice. People out late at night may not be being as careful as you would like them to be. So this is real stuff.
Especially when weather is involved, especially in this area of the country. So,
Or if you travel to a different area, and I don't mean to make light of what's happening in Texas now as we record this, but if you go to some place like Atlanta or like when I lived in London, like if they get half an inch of snow, nobody knows how to drive in snow. So it's more dangerous to be in a place that doesn't get snow when there's half an inch of snow than it would be here with 6 inches of snow, because people are used to it here, and they're going to be they're going to be complete newbies in the South or wherever it may be. That's not a funny story, but it's a true story.
That's just you're dropping life lessons on listeners right now.
go, Dad.
That's all.
I am giving Nathan half a point because that's exactly how Daryl tells a story. He tells it, and then there's silence afterwards, and then he has to explain to get the laughs back. So I love that half point to the host.
I think I have 1.5 points, which is a record for a host. The previous record was 0, so I'm happy with how this is going.
Way to earn your 6 quarter points. Is that right? I don't know. That leap in conversion really. I don't know.
This is too much math for me.
Fractions. You clearly went to a good school growing up. Good for you. That's amazing. All right, Brian, you're getting, honestly, this is some of the best advice you can give to a kid. My parents also doled this out. Coming from Minnesota, but my dad wouldn't say everyone else is an asshole. He would say, watch out. Not everyone might be as careful as you, but I'm still going to give you 3 points for this one. This is a good thing to defensive driving. Eyes up. Head on a swivel. Not too much. Of course, you want to keep your eyes forward, but excellent advice. So.
All right, that's going to take us. So we did Brian's number 3 in the stare down. So I think we are at Atra's number 3.
Yes.
That's correct.
I'm looking at my list and I'm trying to see. I had one extra one that I was like, do I want to use this or do I want to use this? So I'm going to make a little game time, Carol, and say, let's do this one on green life, on living a green life. My parents are immigrants, and I like to think that
Trees.
immigrants
What's up?
are the no, not that way.
Excuse me. Oh.
No, this is how not to spend money on things. All those like lists that are like how to turn your home into a greenscape home, be more earth friendly. And it's all stuff that this might be a generalized statement, but most times than not, immigrant parents and the experiences I've had with immigrant relatives have already employed for generations just out of necessity. Begrudgingly learning that, yes, my white friends down the street have really cute kitchen towels that they change out every season, but we will have dad's old t-shirts. And yeah, they might have a Swiffer wet jet, but we will have like your brother's underwear that he doesn't wear or grew out of. And I use the hole to put on a broomstick on the broomstick and then envelop the broom part, the bristle part, with the underwear so that I could just put Clorox and hot water all over the floor. And how to fix up, like another green tip that you get on like a blog is don't buy new appliances, just fix the old ones. Like just buy the parts and fix the old ones. Very much what my family did to a fault. My mom had this obsession with her vacuums and not like throwing things out. Like when they broke down, like past the point of like them being safe. Even just up to a couple of years ago, I had to force her to throw a vacuum out, and I bought her like a Dyson vacuum because it was like a classic fucking 80-pound Hoover that still had the bag kind of situation. She had retooled it over the past 20 years and redid the cording on it. And I went to vacuum when I was over their place once, and I nearly electrocuted myself plugging it in because sparks flew. And when I told her, she was like, "Oh yeah, it does that." So I was like, I don't want to have to say, "Oh yeah, it was a faulty vacuum she didn't let go of that did her in." I agree with some of the lessons of, yeah, don't buy new shit when you can just repurpose and reuse. But also, when don't play around.
when it's life threatening,
it's time to let it go. Yeah.
Was this one of those vacuums where I remember my sister and I we would once a week we would go clean my dad's office where he worked, and we had this vacuum where first of all like the carpeting was from like the 1800s, and so it was frayed all over, and you'd run over it with a vacuum and it would get swirl up in there.
Yeah.
But then if you ran over the cord with the vacuum,
eat the cord. Yeah.
And it would just be bare electrical wires there, and there was a possibility of electrocution every time you plug that baby in. That's what we're talking about with your mom? Yeah,
absolutely. And it had those bald spots as well. I'm looking over here because my Dyson is just out in the open because I have a Dyson. I don't know.
I didn't know you were doing that.
I don't. I live in a shoebox, but I keep it clean. But I bought it on like sale. That's the other thing, is never find the cheapest way to buy something is also what I've been taught. It's a Dyson, but not at full Dyson price. I need to say that for not to be judged.
Is it fair to say Dyson is the equivalent of an Audi? It's the peak in German engineering.
I would say, yeah. I've never been in an Audi. So I don't know.
Oh, so she's not doing as well as we thought.
I'm not doing well. I've only ever seen them. Yeah, I'm not doing very well.
But do you get a sense of privilege using the Dyson? Does it make you go fast around the corners?
I do. I actually take it out onto the street and I cut people off with it.
That's what we like to hear.
If they make a ride-on Dyson, I'm on that. That is my new car.
The old John Deere.
I can see Brian now in his 3,000-foot square house he's talked about on this show. If he one day achieves that dream in a Zamboni-like Dyson, just going through his half-finished basement.
That's the dream, you guys.
Hitting corners, and it's okay because it was designed for that. But yeah, that's all to say that if I run over, I have trauma from that because I will like panic if I go over the cord. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh shit, the cord's gonna get fucked up, but doesn't, because guess what? It has the technology to go like to lift itself or drop itself accordingly and not cause a death trap.
What a
situation.
time to be alive!
I stayed at my grandparents' farm over the holidays, and nobody's living there right now, and you have to turn the water on in what's called the pump house, and to. So I went into
Your grandparents got down.
They had 6 kids, but you have to go into the pump house, which is a separate building from the home. And then they're like, all right, so you turn this thing on, and it was it was like something from like a Frankenstein movie. And I'm like, I'm not sure water is going to happen after this. I'm pretty, like, the only thing I was certain was going to happen was my own death. Because it was this rusty old, like, it made a sigh. Yeah.
Your
Anyways.
grandma said the same thing in the pump house.
All right, Mitch, give us a score here for Atra's number 3.
Sure. This is hitting very close to home. In the Brinkman house, you saved the towels for company. It was a bag of old T-shirts on the stairs down to the basement, and you didn't throw away a T-shirt. You gave it a new life as a rag.
Yep.
Also, my parents fixed the cord on their vacuum cleaner that I grew up with twice, and now they own a cordless Dyson vacuum, and they love it. They've been living the Dyson life for years now. So it's as if your mom and my dad are the same person, and the life cycles are just very similar here.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. And what's wonderful also about a Dyson life cycle is that it lasts about 10 years. And of course, there's a
Dyson
lifetime
warranty.
guarantee. It's incredible. Dyson has products for all over your home. Okay, so that's going to be 2 half bonus points, which constitutes what? A full bonus point on top of 3 points for your number 3. So that's 4 points this round. You are absolutely on fire this game, Atra. Thank you so much for
So
coming
is the
on.
vacuum.
It doesn't suck up the dust. It burns the dust away. That's how it's supposed to work. Okay.
Along with the house.
Yeah.
All right, I believe that's going to bring us to our number 2 round. And Brian, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
All right, so this isn't actually a lesson learned from a parent. This is a lesson learned from a grandparent. This is from the recently turned 80-year-old Grandma Barb. Shout out
All
to
right, Grandma
Barb.
Barb.
Shout out, Grandma
Yeah.
Barb.
Wow.
Pay yourself first. Every time we started a job, every time we did this, I think she forgets she tells us this every time, but the lesson always comes out as if it's a fresh lesson. Just, you know what? She would say, my mother told me, she lived through the Depression. You know what? You pay yourself first. You take a little bit out, you put it in a savings account. You don't look at it, you don't touch it. And it was just the same old wisdom all the time. I haven't learned the lesson yet, but I will. And it's my intention to take this advice at some point in my life when I'm not paying for our DePaul education anymore.
Yeah.
So once I get to that point, I cannot wait to start paying myself because you know what? I deserve it. So I'm gonna do that eventually. So that is my number 2. Pay yourself first.
This is going to get not 1, but 2 bonus points from the host because this is another of George Hennenfent's mantras that he said over and over again to me when I was a street youth. And I, like Brian, Brian's not as old as me, thank God, because I just started. There's still time, Brian, because I finally started taking this advice in recent years, and paying yourself first is great. Watching your stock portfolio grow into the triple digits is just a wonderful feeling. I'm looking forward to that for you. So you're going to get 2 bonus points from the host.
All right.
But Mitch and Atra, I leave you open to cross-examination here.
This is just this is a tried and true method to creating yourself a little rainy day fund, perhaps a little fun to buy a new Dyson vacuum, especially the new S780. That's all. This is good, Brian. Very good. Very good advice.
The pay yourself first, I think in my family translated to stash the cash under the mattress.
What was the interest rate on your mattress at home?
Legitimately, my parents' mattress is the same mattress they had from 1980 when they first moved here.
Oh.
So it's exponential.
To be honest, that mattress probably has higher interest than most U.S. bank savings accounts at this point. So good on them.
But yeah, the pay yourself first. I don't think they ever. My parents came from a background where they were never able to pay themselves first because they were supporting family, and like up until like their retirement, where I have to constantly remind I'm teaching my parents to not spend money on their adult children anymore, and to just save it for themselves because they need it. Yeah. So that is not a lesson that I learned.
I'm teaching my parents the exact opposite.
You can't take it with you.
That was Brian's number 2, but we need Atra's number 2.
All right, let me take a look. So my number 2.
Yeah, we laugh every week on this part.
So number 2, I would say I am going to keep talking like this to stall for time. Can I put out an option for you to choose? I'm going to give you like one word each, and then you give me what you want to hear.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Wax or tools?
Wax.
Wax it is.
Wax.
Okay.
Wax. Is this
On
CKS or
X.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's not HACK.
Strong in math, not in English. Here we go.
Being Middle Eastern, I feel like I have to preface this, but being a Middle Eastern lady, at the time I was a girl, hair removal, like I would get bullied for having a mustache. I would get bullied for having hairy legs. I would get in gym class. Hair removal, I had experienced it on my own and failed a lot throughout my childhood. Like I shaved my mustache off at the age of 5 and went up to my mom and was like, I scrubbed it off with the loofah. And she was like, what did you do? So as I got older, like in high school, I really wanted to shave my legs because everyone was shaving their legs and like kids would look at my legs during gym class. And I don't have particularly hairy legs. I just need to like preface that just to be like, not all Middle Easterners are like Sasquatches, but I do have dark hair and I went to a suburban high school and all the kids were very light skinned and fair haired. So yeah, so I would get, bullied. So I would keep begging my mom, can I shave? And she'd be like, no, you'll shave when you're married. As a Middle Eastern girl, life begins at marriage, which subsequently ends life as well. I have my opinions. Okay, let me keep straight to the story. Here we go. So wax. So I finally begged her, like I had to beg her to teach me. She would make her own wax, like sugar wax, and I had to beg her how to make some, teach me how to make some. So she was like, we're not going to shave, we're going to wax you. Vroom, there goes my Dyson. So she finally taught me how, and then like we proceeded to wax everything. We proceeded to wax everything. Wax the face, wax the brows, wax the crotch, wax my asshole. So begrudging life lessons. This is another one where I had to begrudge my parents, my mother, how to teach me how to wax and let me shave. And then she like taught me the ultimate lesson of you don't have to go to a salon, you can wax your own asshole.
I would be very surprised if we're getting bonus points from Nathan.
If there were bonus points for sentences that have never been said on this show, I think one is in order here. So you're getting a bonus point from me.
You're getting a half bonus point from me because Daryl, or Shirt Jack Daryl, my dad, always says the first thing of spring, wax the asshole. It keeps the sweat away. So that's a +5 or +0.5 from over here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am very curious because in my high school, in the locker room, the swim team would shave all together in the showers, and they would do it when other teams are there, like changing for baseball practice or football practice, or whatever. And it was like a strange thing. It was like a strange rite of honor for some people. I never did it because I was like, I don't need to shave my entire body right now. With other people who are like they would eat cookies while shaving themselves. Very strange. Yeah, that was their like ritual or whatever. So it was like an odd badge of honor if you were completely shaved at my high school, and people would lift up their pant legs and be like, "Feel this." And it was the worst joke ever. People would close their eyes and be like, "Is it a lady? Oh no, it's just Derek." You're like, "Damn it!" And you're like, what are we doing here, guys?
So was there actually the
Grecian
chance of it
bathhouse.
being a female leg in an all-boys school?
No, it was never that. Of course it wasn't that. Yeah.
I forgot it's an all boys school.
And that's why it was such a dumb joke. But it was an interesting like flip on its head, because normally you'd think in a testosterone driven all male high school, people who'd shave everything would get ridiculed and like bullied and stuff.
Wow.
But they somehow turned it into this weird badge of honor. And no one was like, and also it was only chocolate chip cookies they ate in the shower. I don't know why. I know this is just a strange digression once more, but
Humidity really ruins the texture of the macadamia nut. That's well known.
Yeah. And you know what?
Now-
It just gets soppy.
you say that's actually very true. An oatmeal cookie wouldn't be good in a hot shower. This is great. Let me screw you guys out here. Brian, I'm giving you 3 points for your number 2. A lesson everyone should take to heart. If you haven't done it, do it now. And if you do want a higher interest rate on a savings account, please go with Ally Bank. It's the number 1 online bank. I've been a member since 2011. It's incredible. Okay, so 3 points for you. Atra, I'm giving you the +0.5, of course, for the
Appreciate
Shirt Jack Daryl. Also appreciates a good waxing. And 2 points for you as well, because I haven't waxed yet. I've only, actually, one of me and Brian's first projects together, I shaved my legs for it, and so that was actually fun, but it's a lot of work too.
It is a lot of work. I don't like
It's a ton of work.
Yeah, the
It's a
only
ton of
thing I
time.
maintain now are my brows and my mustache and my goatee.
Me too.
And I'm planning, honestly, after the pandemic, I'm like, I'm just going to start lasering.
Oh.
Because it used to be like therapeutic, like self-care, but now I'm like, I just don't want to do this all the time.
I'd like to give a shout out to regular listener of this show, Taylor Powers, who
Good
is
name.
a dear friend of mine, and so we're all wearing masks now because we're in the pandemic, so nobody sees. And I have had some trouble growing the old beard for my entire life, and so I thought, I'm wearing the mask. Yeah, I'm wearing the mask. I'm like, I'll just let it go for a while and see what happens. And so I was with Taylor a couple weeks ago, and I let it go for like maybe 10 to 12 days. And I took off my mask because I was going to eat something. And Taylor very, very graciously and kindly said to me, "Oh, that needs to go." So
That's the thing. Like, if I could grow a full blown mustache, I'd look fucking amazing. Like, I look good in a mustache. I take after my dad. I got my Chico. He looks great in a mustache. He once shaved it off, and he looked like one of those characters from SpongeBob, like the fish with the no lip. But I look great in a mustache. If I could grow one out, I would. But
It's patchy and so annoying.
I just grew my first real mustache this quarantine, and it's coming back in now. Mine just looks creepy, I think, though. So
I like it with the whole outfit. It looks good.
oh gosh, that's so gracious of you. So very nice.
Mitch,
All right,
Mitch does know how to. He does know how to put together an ensemble.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're up to our number ones. Atra, my fellow patchy mustachioed friend,
Yeah.
please hit us with your absolute number one lesson you begrudgingly learned from your parents.
On useless life skills. How to identify actors by voice.
Oh. Okay.
My dad is a huge TV and movie person. He loves TV. Like, TV raised him. He loves movies. He loves actors. He would go to cinema houses in like Baghdad and just he's like, it's 10 cents a movie, and I would just like hop around from room to room all day. I'd pay the 10 cents and then steal movies all day.
Eating after Mitch's heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I was. I did that I still do it.
So he instilled this love of like TV and film in me from a very young age, and he still does this to me where he'll be watching some Western in the living room, and I'll be like about to sit down to eat, and I'll take I'm about to take my first bite, and I hear Atra, and I go, yeah. And he goes, "Come here, can you guess who this is?" And I go, I'm eating. He's like, come on. So he has me go over to the TV, and this is how it's always been since I was little. He'd have me go over to the TV, but not look at it. Just be parallel to the TV, or if the TV is like in our old apartment, if I were to walk into the room, I'd see the TV. He'd have me walk in backwards. Wait, stop right there. So he'd be like, "Who is this?" And then I'd have to go through the list, and he would never tell me until he got fed up. And he's like, "Nah, do you want to know?" Yeah, he'd be like, "Robert Duvall." And then he'd proceed to be like a Wikipedia, IMDb page in real time and be like, his first movie that made him a star was playing Boo Radley. Give me all the facts on Robert Duvall, on Robert Redford, on Robert De Niro, all the Roberts, all the actors. So I have a very good talent of like, I don't think people like watching animated movies with me because I will be like, that's that voice. And like, sure enough, by the credits, I'm always right. I wish I could put this into real life skills and get paid for it, but
I love this though. I
do too,
wish we could do a whole episode just testing you on this and trying to stump Atra and have your dad come on and go head to head. This is amazing. I mean, like Robert Duvall, like I've seen The Godfather 730,000 times. I don't think I could pick his voice out of a voice lineup.
Yeah,
this is pretty impressive.
yeah, I appreciate the life skill. It is very useless, but I love it, and that's why I also wanted to shout it out. Oh yeah, it was something where I was like, "What? I just want to play. I'm with my friends. Come here. Stop."
Do you happen to be able to name off the top of your head the most obscure voice you've ever named?
Burt Reynolds in All Dogs Go to Heaven. As I was a kid, I was like, "That's Burt Reynolds."
Should know who Burt Reynolds is.
That's pretty good.
And Dom DeLuise in the same
Oh,
movie, because we would
wow.
watch like Haunted Honeymoon and Robin Hood Men in Tights. So
Nice.
when I saw
How old
All
were
Dogs-
you when this happened?
Whenever All Dogs came, when
So like when you were like 6 or
8,
7, you could
6,
name
yeah.
Burt Reynolds' voice just sight unseen.
Yeah.
Okay, I am impressed, amazed, and a little scared.
Most people like to teach their children, I don't know, geographical stuff or like flashcards on like French words, things that they can use later on.
Is your dad now a complete and utter IMDb devotee? Does he just live on IMDb, or
I don't think he knows about IMDb, to be honest with
Really?
you. Yeah.
Well, he doesn't need it. It sounds
No.
like it's all just in his head
I
already.
suppose.
Yeah.
that's a good point? Is there
He'll-
a year at which his knowledge stops?
No. He will always link it. Degrees game. I don't know if you all ever played in college.
love
of like
that game.
He
Love
can
that
play.
game.
Like he would be able to play that game because he does that in real time in movies. He ruins movies because he talks through them, talking about the what the actor's been in. If it's a movie he doesn't really care about. If it's a movie he cares about, he doesn't want anybody interrupting it. But if it's I chose this movie, I'm putting it on as Atra, and he's this is he takes it as an opportunity to catch up and talk, and like this is love language. But yeah, so he does that live during movies. But I've never officially done. I think like our generation probably caught up to his style versus him needing our tools. But yeah, he does.
My
enjoy it.
goodness. All right, before we go over to Brian for his number one, I want to promote next week's episode where we're having Atra's dad for sure, because this guy sounds amazing.
Both my parents are, yeah.
All right, so Brian, please hit us with your number one.
Number one, this is probably one that was beaten into my head more by my dad than my mom, because my mom was the exact opposite of this person. Never be loyal to an employer. You are replaceable.
Oof. Harsh truth.
It is
I like
harsh.
that lesson.
But there is a semicolon, and but that doesn't mean be a dick. So when I was little, I didn't believe my dad when he would describe how bad managers and supervisors are. And he had a union job. So he would come home and be like, I would complain about working at Jewel, which was a small union job compared to his working in the Dominic's warehouse distribution center as a picker. He'd be like, I'd come home and complain about something. They made me do this, but like, fuck them, take your breaks. No,
Yeah.
they give you your breaks. You take them. You sit down, and if somebody gives you shit, you throw it right back at them. Say, I'm not done until 10:08, and then you go downstairs. And he's, nothing's gonna happen to you. You're in the right. And so there's a lot of sticking up for yourself coming out of this. And then part two of that is then I actually worked 2 summers at the warehouse, one doing his job and the following summer doing maintenance on that warehouse. So the first summer was great. And this kind of ties into where I should have been paying myself first. At 17 years old, it was a $17.50 an hour job full time in the summer. And I was using that to buy USB keyboards because I want to learn how to use Logic, and then I want to do this because blah blah blah. And I need a new camera, and I should have been saving that for God knows maybe something other than a Ford Windstar.
Pay yourself
I did not pay
first.
myself first. I still
Yep.
got to learn it. But then it was also my parents have been with me through like whenever I have a question about jobs I'm gonna take. It's always, it doesn't matter if you take a job and a week later you get a better opportunity, you take it. They don't care about you. Move on, take care of yourself. And now it's in the weird position now because you always try to make yourself indispensable as long as you can, especially if you're being treated right. If you're being treated right, you want to help and it's all reciprocal. But I'm like in a position now where I actually respect my higher ups. So I'm like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be like everywhere. And now that I am a manager, that's their mistake, I try to do the opposite of everything that I've hated from those before me. So sometimes you still got to be Bill Lumberg and yeah, I'm going to need you to come in on Saturday, but you just try and be nice and respectful the other way around. So this is the life lesson of being in the workforce.
You'd be a great manager, Ryan. You'd be like just a great teammate and in general.
You don't have to do this
Absolutely.
podcast every week like we do, Atra.
It's
It gets pretty dark behind the scenes.
It's like pulling
I just see his hand come into your frame.
It's like pulling teeth that have been dulled by diamonds.
Yeah.
I will say that this actually tugged at some heartstrings for me. I'm not gonna tell the stories because they're really long stories, but it brought back a story both from my mom and from my dad. The one from my mom being when I was really young and saying something important was needing to stand up for yourself when she saw me being bullied, and then my dad once encouraging me to take a better job literally a week after I got another job, and so it's all totally legitimate points. So 1 bonus point from the host on this one. Those were really good points. Mitch, Atra, anything to comment on Brian's number one?
Yeah, I reject part of his theory that you are replaceable because in Minnesota you learn you are a special little snowflake. And there's no one else like you, and you come from Minnesota. You're very cool and special, and everyone is lucky to have you. You're my number one little boy, Mitchell. I love you so much. I'll love you forever. So that's what you learn going into the workforce.
Everyone in Minnesota is named Mitchell.
Oh wait. Oh gosh. Oh, I'm starting to realize some things now. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Self-discovery. Okay. Yeah. No, this is a good one. I do think that I like, Brian, that you're learning to drown out some of the initial cynicism. I like that you are, because you and I have had many discussions about this, yin and yang on trying to find silver linings and how to handle things. But you are a highly capable individual. That's why we call you the main entity. Your brilliance and your skills are on full display on a regular basis. And so this is a great one for you. I can imagine Rick also doling out some delicious, horrific stories, which I would love to be part of those if he wants to rehash and do a little PTSD.
All it takes is for you to show up with a case of Ice House, and those stories are yours.
I actually haven't seen Rick in a long time, and he can grow one hell of a mustache and a beard. So I think
this is the first time ever he hit 50, and now he's grown a beard like past his chest, and it is amazing.
Wow.
Holy cow.
I'm trying to catch
That's
up.
wonderful.
I can't do it.
Oh my gosh. All right, here, let me give you guys your points here. Atra, I'm giving you plus 0.5 because I also love picking voices out of a movie. I love watching Bob's Burgers and being like Andy Daly or whatever guest voice is on that week. One of my favorite things. Also love playing the IMDb game. And I'm giving you actually an additional plus 5 right now because my dad is the anti of your father. He'll say, oh, this guy, he's from the one where the cowboys and they fight the aliens. And then there's Darth Vader. What is it? And you're like, Dad, you're thinking of Star Wars and Cowboys and Aliens. 2 very different films, 2 very different outcomes. So
He's
that's
close,
that's
though.
4.
I feel like that's how my brain works sometimes now.
That's 4 for your last one, and Brian, I'm giving you the full 3 there. So let me do a quick tally here, some quick math. Give me 1 moment.
As he does that, Brian, I want to say that you did invest in yourself by buying those things because that's eventually like what you learned and made your career on.
It was a good investment, but it hasn't taken care of the debt yet. So one day it will
I was
pay
gonna
off.
say, well, we use the word career quite loosely, don't we?
Career trunk.
Career.
Can I give you a guest half point because you dropped Jewel and Dominic's in, and my mom's worked at both places.
As
Can
have
a guest
I.
give you a
Oh,
half
yeah.
point? Yeah.
You brought up venture early, and that just put me down the whole rabbit hole. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't thought about a venture in so long. Like, I can remember the logo with the stripes.
Yeah, the black and white stripes.
Yeah, I was
the
like,
V.
wow. That's 90s flashback. There we go.
Every one of them turned into a Kmart.
You guys made fun of me for my half-point bonuses, but guess what? That was the difference in today's battle. Atra, you take home the sash today. The giant bucket of pickles is on its way to your house.
Love pickles.
You won with 15.5 points to Brian's 15.
Wow.
What a
close-up.
game today. Congratulations. If you'd like to say a few words, please do so now.
Thank you so much for having me, Brian. You gave great hustle out there. The winnings are only as good as the competition, and in this sense, it was great. Thank you. Just imagine me like dripping sweat and hunched over a tiny conference table with a little mic and a baseball cap. We've got Mitch and Nathan. Thank you for making the space and letting me change the games, last plays, last minute. I think that's what really did us in. So thank you. And by did us in, like in a positive way.
Your choices today were bold, and that's what brought you the victory. Bold, much like the new Dyson line of hair straighteners. These heat up the quickest and cool down the fastest of any hair straighteners on the market. Okay, back to you, Nathan. Let's get out of here.
All right. Atra's the winner. Brian has come in a valiant second. That is the end of the game, and that leaves us with just my fast 5. The top 5 ways your ex says, hey. Number 5. Hey. This is hey ... This is used in the subject line of an email that is followed by the opening line of a few things.
Oh no.
...
Oh.
You're really in trouble now. Get ready for a laundry list of mistakes you made and grievances that have yet to be aired. You were emotionally unavailable. You never folded the laundry. You didn't bring a gift to Cousin Jackie's baby shower. You forgot the cat's birthday. You slept with your boss's wife at a bachelor party that got out of hand. Beware the dreaded ellipses. You are in for the roasting of a lifetime. Number 4 is, hey! And that's spelled hey with an exclamation point. Don't be fooled by the exclamation point. No ex of yours is legitimately that excited to talk to you. And if they were, they would play it much more coy than to show that much enthusiasm right out of the gate. They are trying to present this as good news for 2 reasons. Soften the blow for some bad news for you. Like they want you to hear from them first that they just got engaged or expecting twins with Gerald, who works behind the counter at the local Quick Stop. Or perhaps they have a new opportunity for you, working from home, selling essential oils to the rest of your high school classmates. Number 3, hey you. Oh God, not the hey you. The hey you is a cutesy and condescending attempt to think that what follows will be affection. You, as if you are someone special to them at this point. Hey you. What a sweet greeting. But they never once said that to you when you were together. Expect hey you to be followed shortly by the words, I've moved on. Oh. Hey you seems hopeful, but this is the last email you'll be getting from them. Number 2. Hey. Hey. H-E-Y. Nothing else. This is in a blank text. Just one word, plain old H-E-Y, hey. This is sent about 6 months after the breakup and opens the door, even just an inch, to a terrifying and thrilling world of possibilities. They're thinking of you, but don't want to give you any impressions one way or the other of why. It's up to you to respond and lead the conversation down whichever path you want. Shut them down, open up old wounds, try to arrange an illicit rendezvous. The choice is yours. This simple, innocent, 3-letter text could be your window towards a second chance with the one that got away, or the opportunity to make the same mistakes all over again because you learned nothing from that relationship, did you, immature cretin? And the number 1, top 5 ways your ex says, hey, spelled H-A-Y, exclamation point. This hey is usually received after midnight and either right after a breakup when the throes of passion are still in play, or 2 or 3 years later when the smoldering resentment has faded. The playfulness of the several Y's and the exclamation point, along with the timestamp, imply your ex is in a great mood, remembering you fondly, and has had one too many quarantinis. And the deviation from the traditional spelling, using H-A-Y for hey, means you might soon be rolling in it.
Oh.
And that's this week's edition of Uber Cinco. Our contestants today were from out in Berwyn, Illinois, the main entity,
Brian Ernst.
And from wherever the hell she lives right now, because I honestly don't know and forgot to ask, was
Atra Asdu.
And keeping score was the special little guy from the Southport corridor,
Mitchell Brinkman.
And I've been Nathan Hennenfent. As Bizbear always says, thank God for mom and dad for sticking 2 together, because we don't know how. Auf Wiedersehen and adios.
Woo!
You've just listened to Uber Cinco, a production of UBK Studios. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your fine podcasts from.
If you like what you hear and want to support the show, please visit our Patreon site at patreon.com/UBK Studios. Every little bit helps us keep the lights on and the bill collectors at bay.
Keep tabs on us on all the social media at UBK Studios, and most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see that we really are just a bunch of good Midwestern boys.